The grand dining hall shimmered with light. Golden chandeliers hung from the tall ceiling, casting soft waves of glow across polished marble floors. The room smelled faintly of sweet alien fruits and roasted meats, a sign of wealth and comfort. Servants moved quietly, carrying trays of exotic dishes. At the center of the long table sat the millionaire alien mother. Her name was whispered with respect and fear in every corner of the city. She had power, fortune, and influence. But tonight her heart carried a heavy shadow. Her daughter sat in a floating chair beside her. The girl's legs lay stiff and unmoving, covered with a fine blanket. For years she had been paralyzed. Doctors from different star systems had come. Machines, medicines, even strange rituals had been tried. But nothing worked. Her legs never moved. Her mother, despite her riches, had to live with the sight of her only child trapped in silence and weakness. The mother always smiled in public. She always showed strength, but behind closed doors she cried. She remembered her daughter running in the gardens when she was little. She remembered laughter echoing in the mansion halls. But those days were gone. The girl spoke less now, her voice quiet, her eyes filled with loneliness. This night guests filled the hall. Rich aliens dressed in silk-like robes and glowing jewels talked and laughed, sipping rare drinks. But the mother's eyes stayed on her daughter. She watched her child try to hold a fork with shaky hands. The sound of laughter around them felt cruel. Inside, the mother's heart ached. Then, without warning, the heavy doors at the far end opened. A strange figure entered. He was human. His clothes looked simple compared to the shining robes around him. His shoes carried dust. His hands bore tiny scars of hard work. The guests turned their heads and whispered, confused. What was a human doing here among the richest aliens? The mother looked up, her eyes narrowing. She had heard stories of humans, wild, stubborn creatures who survived in impossible conditions. But this man was not wild. He walked with calm steps, his eyes steady, carrying a small object wrapped in cloth. He bowed slightly and spoke with a clear voice. "I bring a gift," he said. The hall went silent. Forks stopped midair. Glasses froze before lips. Everyone stared. A gift? For the richest alien in the city? The mother raised an eyebrow. "And why would a human bring me anything?" she asked, her voice sharp. The man smiled softly. "Not for you," he said. "For your daughter?" A murmur spread through the hall. The girl looked up, surprised. Her mother frowned, but something in the man's calm face stopped her from ordering the guards to throw him out. She nodded once. The human stepped closer and unwrapped the cloth. Inside was a small device, glowing faintly blue. It looked simple. Not like the advanced machines from famous alien hospitals. But there was something strange about its glow. The girl's eyes widened. The device hummed softly, almost like it was alive. "What is this?" the mother asked. The human knelt beside the girl. He held the device near her legs. "Hope," he whispered. The guests laughed nervously. Some shook their heads, thinking it a joke. But then a sound broke the air, a tiny sound. The girl's foot twitched. It was small, almost invisible, but the mother saw it. Her heart stopped. For years her daughter had not moved a single muscle in her legs. She leaned forward, her plate slipping from her hands. It fell against the marble floor. With a loud crash, food scattered across the shining surface, but nobody cared. All eyes were on the girl. Her toes shifted again, then her knee bent, just slightly. The girl gasped, her hands clutching the sides of her chair. Tears filled her eyes. She looked at her mother, whispering, I can feel it." The hall exploded in shock. Some guests stood up, some covered their mouths. Servants dropped trays. The mother's body trembled, her hands covering her mouth. She wanted to believe it, but her mind screamed it was impossible. The human only watched, calm and steady. He didn't boast, didn't smile, simply waited. The girl pushed against the armrest. Her legs shook, weak and trembling, but they obeyed. Slowly, painfully, she stood. Her blanket slid to the ground, revealing thin legs glowing faintly with the strange blue light. She wobbled, almost falling, but the human held her hand, steadying her. The mother could not breathe. For the first time in years, her daughter was standing. The plate lay shattered on the ground, but silence heavier than stone filled the hall. The richest aliens in the galaxy, the most powerful figures, all stood frozen, unable to believe what they saw, the mother whispered, her voice breaking. How? How is this possible? The human looked at her with calm eyes. Because sometimes the answers don't come from wealth, but from faith and from humanity. And in that moment, the story of the millionaire alien mother and her paralyzed daughter changed forever. The night after the miracle, the mansion did not sleep. Guards whispered nervously in the corridors, servants moved like shadows, and guests who had witnessed the scene carried the story across the city like fire. By morning, the tale had spread through markets, trading hubs, and even the grand towers where senators ruled. Everyone was asking the same question: how did a human make the impossible happen? But inside the mansion, silence pressed heavy. The millionaire alien mother sat in her private chamber, her hands trembling as she replayed the moment again and again in her mind. Her daughter, her fragile, broken daughter, had stood, not stumbled, not imagined, but stood on her own two legs. The image of her child rising filled her heart with joy and terror at the same time. The human, however, did not celebrate. He had been given a guest room, plain and quiet. He sat at the edge of the bed, turning the glowing device in his hands. His eyes were thoughtful, almost haunted, as if the miracle he brought came with a cost. When dawn arrived, the mother summoned him. Her daughter sat beside her, still shaky, her legs wrapped in new support braces. She looked brighter, her eyes alive in a way they hadn't been in years. But the mother's gaze was sharp, filled with questions that burned hotter than fire. "Tell me," she demanded. "What did you do to her? What is this machine?" The human placed the device on the table between them, pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. "It's not a machine," he said softly. "Not in the way your doctors would call it. It's alive?" The girl leaned forward, curious. "Alive? Like me?" He nodded. "Not flesh and blood, but something older, something my people found long ago, buried deep in the ruins of a forgotten world. We don't control it. We don't fully understand it, but we learn to listen to it, to trust it. And sometimes it listens back." The mother's eyes narrowed. "Hey, you expect me to believe that this thing is some sort of spirit?" The man met her gaze calmly. "Call it what you want. Spirit, technology, miracle, it doesn't matter. What matters is that it chose her." The words struck the mother like a knife. Chose her. She looked at her daughter, who was staring at her trembling legs with wonder. The mother's pride swelled, but so did her fear. If this power was real, others would want it. Already she could. Imagine senators, warlords, and even emperors sending their agents to seize it. The girl whispered, "Will I walk again tomorrow?" The human's expression softened. "Yes, but it won't be easy. Your body remembers pain. Your muscles are weak. This gift can open the door, but you must walk through it with your own strength." The girl nodded fiercely, determination in her small frame. For the first time in years, she believed in herself. But the mother's mind raced with darker thoughts. She had built her fortune on power, influence, and control. Nothing in her empire was left to chance. Yet this human, with dusty shoes and scarred hands, had shaken her world with something no money could buy. She needed to know the truth. That night she called her guards in secret. "Watch him," she ordered. "Do not let him out of your sight. If he speaks to anyone, if he tries to leave, bring him to me." And so the human became both guest and prisoner. But the girl, niece and hopeful, saw only kindness in him. The next morning, she begged him to teach her to walk. He agreed, but not like the cold doctors who once treated her. Didn't strap her into machines or drown her in glowing medicines. He taught her to take one step, then another. He caught her when she fell, encouraged her when she trembled. It never once showed frustration. Day by day, her steps grew stronger, and each night the glow of the device pulsed brighter, as if feeding on her courage. Yet whispers grew beyond the mansion walls. Neighbors claimed they saw lights in the windows, strange patterns glowing in the night. Merchants gossiped about a human carrying impossible power. Far away, across the stars, unseen ears were already listening. The mother began to realize this secret was not safe, and the human knew what had begun as a gift would soon become a war. The mansion, once a fortress of laughterless wealth, now breathed with strange energy. In the day, the girl's halting footsteps echoed through the marble halls, shaky but real. At night, the faint blue pulse of the human's device spilled. Beneath closed doors, like the heartbeat of a secret, the universe was never meant to see. But outside, the world was already stirring. Rumors traveled faster than ships. In the city's smoky taverns, traders whispered of a child who rose from the dead legs of silence. In the Senate's cold towers, advisors spoke of a human wielding living fire. And in the shadowy corners of the empire, spies leaned closer, eager for a secret worth killing for. Inside the mansion, the mother grew restless. She watched her daughter smile with each fragile step, yet her heart twisted with unease. Miracle demanded a price, she knew this too well. And what unsettled her most was the human himself. He carried no pride in his face, no hunger for gold, no fear of power. He acted as though the miracle wasn't his at all. One evening, when the girl had finally fallen asleep, the mother summoned him to her private study. The glow of star lamps painted the room in silver shadows. She poured him a drink, but her eyes were sharp, testing. "You say this device is alive," she began slowly, "but no gift is given without reason. Why her? Why now?" The human set the untouched glass down. "'Cause she is stronger than you think," he replied. "'Cause she has the heart to carry what others would destroy." The mother leaned forward, voice low. "And if I told you that others will come for it, men who would burn worlds for less? What then?" The human's face did not change. "Then I will stand in their way." For a heartbeat, silence hung heavy. The mother searched his eyes and saw no arrogance, no lies, only resolve. It frightened her more than any weapon. Meanwhile, the girl was not blind to the tension growing around her. She saw the way guards lingered near the human's door, how her mother's voice grew sharper when speaking to him. Yet she also saw kindness in his teaching, the way he steadied her hand, the way he treated her not as fragile but as capable. In her young heart, trust bloomed trust in him, but far beyond the mansion. In the dark alleys of the city, two figures watched the windows with hungry eyes. Cloaked and silent, they spoke in whispers. "So it's true," one hissed. "Cripple walks, the human carries it." "The council will pay dearly," the other replied. "Alive, if possible, dead, if needed." The shadows shifted, and their forms melted into the night. Back in her bed, the girl dreamed of walking into the stars. She dreamed of leaving her chair behind forever. She did not know that already unseen hands were reaching for her miracle. And in the silent guest room, the human sat awake, the glowing device before him. He touched it gently, as one touches an old friend, and whispered words no alien tongue could translate. As the glow deepened, he felt it stir not just the device, but the presence within it. Something vast, something ancient, something that was listening. And somewhere, far away in the void between worlds, a ripple moved. The shadows had noticed. The morning sky above the mansion glowed pale gold, but inside, unease clung to every wall. The girl had taken 10 steps without help the day before, her laughter ringing like music. Yet that joy was fragile, wrapped in threads of fear. For beyond the gate something stirred. The city's streets were restless. Merchants whispered of soldiers asking questions. Servants carried rumors like dust on their clothes. And the mother felt it in her bones danger was coming. The human rose early, as he always did. He trained the girl in silence, guiding her across the polished floors, one careful step at a time. Each stumble, each shaky breath seemed to fuel the device's pulse as though it thrived on her will. He noticed it glowing brighter with every step she took, and his jaw tightened. The stronger she became, the louder the signal it sent. Someone, somewhere, was surely listening. That evening, the mansion's gates groaned open without warning. The guards outside did not raise alarm because they never got the chance. By the time the inner guards noticed, it was too late.
Shadows
Slipped into the courtyard, cloaks melting into darkness, blades shimmering with silent light. Inside the hall, the mother was hosting a small circle of trusted allies. Their voices faltered when the windows cracked under sudden force. Servant screamed, cut short by the thud of a body hitting marble. The guests froze as masked figures burst in, their weapons humming. "Protect the girl," the mother shouted, her voice sharper than steel. Chaos erupted. Guards rushed in, clashing with intruders. The sound of energy blades cutting air filled the hall. Servants scattered like frightened birds. One attacker lunged toward the floating chair where the girl had once sat. But it was empty because she was standing, trembling but upright, her hand in the human's. The human pulled her. Behind him, his calm face was gone, replaced with hard focus. His hand moved fast, pulling a hidden weapon from beneath his coat. Not a blade, not a gun, but something old and strange. A shard of glowing metal that hummed like the device itself. The nearest intruder sneered under his mask. "Hand it over, human." "The council wants it." The human said nothing. His shard blazed brighter, and with a sudden strike he slashed the air. A wave of force burst forward, hurling the attacker across the hall. Gasps filled the room. Even the mother, watching from behind her guards, felt her blood freeze. The girl clung to him, terrified but unable to look away. For the first time, she saw him not as her teacher, but as something else, something dangerous. The attackers regrouped. 3 rushed him at once. He moved like a storm, blocking, striking, his shard glowing with every motion. But one slipped past, racing toward the girl. "No," she cried out. Her legs wobbled, but she forced them to move. She stumbled forward and fell hard, but in that fall, her body shielded the glowing device. The attacker's blade swung down, only to be stopped by a sudden blast of blue light from the device itself. The intruder screamed as energy ripped through him, collapsing in a heap. The room froze. Even the fighters paused. The device defended her. The human's eyes widened, rushed to her side, pulling her up. The glow around her was stronger than ever, wrapping her legs, seeping into her skin. She stood shakily, but taller than before. The attacker saw it too. Their leader hissed, "She's bonded to it. Kill the human. Take the girl." The mother's heart stopped. Kill the human. Take her daughter. The thought ignited a fire inside her that no fear could quench. She stood, her voice thundering across the chaos. "No one touches my child." For the first time in years, she stepped into the fight herself. Her jeweled robe fell away, revealing armor hidden beneath. She drew a weapon older than her fortune, a relic from wars past. Energy sparked as it came alive. The attackers hesitated. The mother's eyes burned with a fury they had not expected. The human, standing beside her now, nodded once. They were no longer guest and host, no longer suspicious allies. They were protectors, bound by the same cause. And as the girl clung to the device that pulsed like a second heart, the battle for its secret truly began. The mansion stank of smoke and scorched stone. The battle was over, but its echoes lingered in every corridor. Guards dragged the intruders' broken weapons into piles. Servants scrubbed blood from marble, and the once proud hall bore cracks, where energy had torn the air apart. Yet amidst the ruin, the strangest thing of all was not the scars on the walls, was the girl. Standing, her legs trembled but held. She walked slowly across the ruined floor, her bare feet brushing against dust and shards. The blue glow followed her every step, wrapping her in a halo no doctor's lamp could mimic. The mother watched, torn between awe and dread. Her daughter, who had not moved for years, was now stronger each hour, and yet the glow made her look less like a child and more like something. Chosen the human sat apart, repairing his shard weapon. His face was calm, but his eyes carried storms. He had seen this before long ago, on another world where the device had bonded with a warrior. A warrior had risen higher than kings, and died before his time. The girl noticed his silence. She limped toward him, determination stronger than pain. "You're hiding something," she said softly. He looked at her. "You're changing. The bond is waking inside you. The device is no longer just helping you walk. It's becoming part of you." The girl frowned. "Is that bad?" The human hesitated. "It depends. The bond gives strength, but it also demands. It will push you to grow faster than your body can endure, and worse, others can sense it now. The more you use it, the louder its call becomes. Every shadow in this empire is listening." The mother, who had entered silently, caught his words. Her hands clenched. "Then we must hide her," she said firmly. "I will build walls no one can cross. I will spend every coin, bribe every official, silence every spy." The human shook his head. "No wall will be high enough. They don't want your riches, they want her." The girl's voice trembled, but she lifted her chin. "Let them come. I won't go back to that chair." Her words stunned the room. For the first time, she sounded less like a frightened child and more like someone ready to fight for herself. The mother's heart swelled with pride and fear all at once. That night, when the mansion was quiet, the girl dreamed again. She dreamed of walking through vast fields under alien skies, of running so fast the stars blurred. But her dream shifted. She saw shadows following her, claws reaching, voices whispering her name. And through it all, the device pulsed in her. Chest like a second heartbeat, she woke gasping, the blue glow still around her. The human sat nearby, watching. "It speaks to you, doesn't it?" he asked. She nodded. "I hear whispers, not words but feelings. It's like it's alive inside." "Me." The human's gaze grew heavy. "Then it has chosen you completely. That bond cannot be undone." The door creaked open. The mother entered, her armor still scarred from the fight. She looked at her daughter, then at the human. "If she is chosen," she said slowly, "then we must prepare her." "But for what?" The human rose, his shard weapon glowing faintly in his hand. His voice was low, filled with weight. "For war. Because once the bond awakens, the hunters will never stop." And this, he touched the device, now glowing through the girl's skin, is not just a cure. It is a signal. It's a beacon. And the shadows will come again, stronger than before. The mother's chest tightened. Her fortune, her walls, her army, none of it felt enough anymore. Yet as she looked at her daughter, standing taller with fire in her eyes, she realized something terrifying and beautiful. Her little girl was no longer helpless. She was becoming something the galaxy had not seen in centuries. And that meant the galaxy would burn to claim her. The city did not sleep after the attack. Rumors grew like fire in dry fields. Some whispered of masked assassins burned alive by a child's light. Others claimed a human-wielded power older than the stars, and far above in the towering spires of the capital. The Empire's eyes turned toward the mansion. In a dark council chamber, cloaked figures gathered around a floating display. The image of the girl, standing with blue light around her, flickered in the air. A voice broke the silence, cold, sharp, unyielding. "The bond has awakened again. After centuries of silence, we cannot allow this." Another voice hissed. "It's in the hand. Crush the mansion. Seize the human. Bring the child alive." And so, the order was given. The Empire's hand would move. Back in the mansion, the mother felt the weight of unseen danger pressing closer. She had doubled the guards, locked the gates, and sealed every corridor with scanners, yet she knew it was useless. No fortress stood forever against the Empire. The human knew it too. He spent long hours in silence, sharpening his shard weapon, tracing old scars on his hands. At night, he stood beneath the stars, listening to the device's strange hum echo in the wind. He knew the Empire would come, and he feared not their armies, but their hunger. The girl, however, grew stronger each day. She could walk across the hall now, her steps steady, her breath firm. The glow around her did not fade, it deepened, pulsing in rhythm with her heart. Sometimes when she touched the walls, the stone itself shivered faintly, as if it recognized her. One evening, as she practiced, the human stopped her. His eyes were hard. "You must learn to defend yourself," he said. The girl frowned. "I can barely walk." "Then you'll fight from where you stand," he replied. He handed her a small shard, no bigger than her palm. It pulsed faintly, reacting to her touch. The bond responds to will. Not muscle, not training, only will. And your will is stronger than you think. She looked at the shard, fear and wonder in her eyes. For a moment, she imagined herself not as a broken child, but as something new, someone who could protect, not just be protected. Her mother entered then, watching them. She saw the way her daughter's hands trembled around the shard, the way. Her eyes burned with determination. Pride swelled in her chest, but so did terror. For she knew weapons invited war, and her daughter was becoming both weapon and target that night. The mansion's silence shattered again. The sky cracked with thunder, though no storm was near. Ships descended like shadows with burning wings, their lights cutting the dark. The ground shook as armored figures marched from their halls, their steps in perfect rhythm. Their leader, a towering alien with armor black as night, raised his blade and pointed at the mansion. "The child belongs to the Empire," he roared. Inside, alarms wailed. Guards rushed to the walls. The mother's allies scrambled for weapons. The girl clutched her shard, her heart pounding. And the human stepped to the gates, his face calm, his eyes burning. He looked back once, at the mother and her daughter. "This is only the beginning," he said quietly. The gates exploded under the Empire's hand, and the war for the bond began. The mansion burned. Marble walls cracked, chandeliers lay shattered, and the once proud gates were nothing but twisted steel. The Empire's hand poured in like a tide of shadows, their black armor reflecting the glow of fire. Their steps shook the earth, their blades hungry for blood. At the center of the chaos stood the girl, no longer in her chair, no longer trembling. The blue light pulsed through her veins, circling her like living flame. Beside her, the human held his shard weapon, steady as stone. And behind them, the mother drew her ancient blade once more. Her jeweled armor now scorched and broken, they stood together, mother, daughter, and human against an army. The Empire's commander raised his hand. His voice thundered through the hall. "The child belongs to us. Step aside and you may yet live." The mother's reply was cold as iron. "My daughter belongs to no one." And with that, the battle began. Blades clashed, energy tore through. Stone and screams filled the air. Guards fell, servants fled, and the mansion shook with the fury of war. Yet through it all, the girl stood her ground. The shard in her hand burned brighter, answering her will. When she lifted it, walls of light rose, shielding her mother from strikes. When she cried out, waves of energy pushed soldiers back. The human fought like a storm, every strike precise, every motion guided by purpose. He shielded the girl with his own body, taking blows that would have ended her. Blood ran from his arm, but he did not falter. The mother, once only known for wealth, revealed the warrior she had buried long ago. Her blade carved through armor, her voice carried commands, her presence rallied the few guards still standing. She was not a mother in mourning anymore, she was a queen in battle, but the Empire's hand was endless. For every soldier that fell, 2 more rose, and at the heart of it all, the commander strode forward, his massive frame cutting through the fight like a shadow of doom. "You cannot stop the Empire," he growled, raising his blade high. "She will be ours." The girl felt fear grip her chest, but then the device pulsed inside her louder than ever. She heard it in her mind, not as whispers anymore, but as a voice. Stand, rise, become. Her legs steadied. Her fear melted into fire. She stepped forward, light exploding from her body. The ground cracked beneath her as the bond awakened fully, no longer half-dash asleep. The commander froze as the glow engulfed the hall. "Impossible," he whispered. The girl raised her shard, and with a voice that carried like thunder, she shouted, "I am not yours." The light burst outward, a wave of pure force that hurled the invaders back like leaves in a storm. Armor shattered, weapons melted, and the commander himself was thrown across the hall, his blade torn from his hand. Silence followed. Smoke filled the air. The Empire's hand lay scattered, broken, but the girl remained standing. Her chest heaved, her glow dimming slowly, but her legs held strong. She turned to her mother, tears shining in her eyes. I walked, and I fought. The mother dropped her blade and fell to her knees, pulling her daughter into her arms. "You are more than I ever dreamed," she whispered. The human, bloodied but unbowed, stood watching. His eyes carried both pride and sorrow. He knew this victory was only a spark in a fire yet to come. The Empire would not stop. They would return hungrier than ever. But tonight, in the ruins of a shattered mansion, a miracle had stood against. The man survived. The mother looked up at him, her voice breaking. What happens now? He met her gaze, his expression solemn. Now, the galaxy will know she exists. And somewhere in the void, far beyond the stars, powers older than. Empires stirred awake because the bond was no longer silent. It had chosen.